Hello there, fellow cultists. This is DM Nell, and I'm back with another Shadow Talk, and this is episode 165. And I am going to be covering the latest release from the Schwab Entertainment uh, Brainworks, and this is the Shadow of the Red Moon, which has just released within the last week or two. But before we do that, let's go ahead and talk about the other releases that we're not going to be going into detail on. So let's see here. There has been a new Black Star supplement come out called Wicked Cults, Wild Beasts. And what does it say here? Wild Beasts introduce a new fringe cult devoted to a warped interpretation of the Horned King. Fed up with what they see as decadence in urban life, they abandon the trappings of civilization to embrace a wild, untamed existence under the watchful eye of their dark master. So if you don't have enough cults, now you have one more. All right, then we have Shadow of the Red Moon, which we're going to be covering as our main topic. And then lastly, I think this just came out yesterday. This is Shadow the Weird Wizard Quest Among Us, and it is a master tier quest, and looks like it's set in the great jungle of Za. So, as a master tier adventurer, you can expect some high difficulty stuff. So here's a blighted wyvern. And really, the rest of the stuff's not that bad, so I'm not really sure what the challenge is going to be here. But here we go. A Demon of Zaz, difficulty 32. So yeah, looks like we got some tough stuff to look forward to in Among Us. But that is a spotlight for another day. So today we're going to be talking about Shadow of the Red Moon. All right, now last time we talked about the Demon Lord engine. And this is the first release that is meant for the Demon Lord rules engine. Or is it? That's a question, because this is really not a complete product. And I'm a little bit confused about this, but my assumption is that we're going to be seeing more coming out for Shadow of the Red Moon. But like I said last time, I really thought that future releases from Schwab Entertainment in support of this model for the Demon Lord engine was going to be providing, basically a campaign setting book with new roles, new paths, new features, things like that. But this seems to be just a campaign setting. And it also seems to be a campaign setting for Shadow of the Demon Lord. So I'm not even honestly sure that it is a Demon Lord engine release because it is basically a Demon Lord supplement. However, if you go back here to the back, it says you need a copy of the Demon Lord engine Rules Compendium to make use of the supplement. And that's not necessarily true. At least not from what I've read. Now, what I've read, and I got to say, I didn't read everything in here because it is a campaign setting. Use your words, Nell. Okay, it's a campaign setting, and it is set in the moon of Tartarus, which is the world of Shadow of the Demon Lord, the world of Earth, and this is Tartarus. So it's just like, the moon. So okay, let's start at the beginning here, and I'll kind of get you caught up to where I'm at in my head as far as why I think this is a Shadow of the Demon Lord supplement, not a Demon Lord engine supplement. So this is a campaign setting, and the first part of it talks about 10 things that make this campaign setting, I guess, unique. And this is one thing that I really like when companies put out a new product and they, especially campaign settings, or rules or whatever, and it talks about 10 things that make this, that separates this product from others. And Schwab does that here. So the first thing is a strange and unpleasant land. Okay, so this is set on the moon of Earth, which the people on Earth call Tartarus, but it has an indigenous population on the moon of Tartarus, and the people there, they don't really associate with the people on Earth necessarily. I mean, there can be some what do you want, cat? There can be some communication, I suppose, but the moon is its own civilization, and the people that live on the moon call the moon Aerth. So that's Aerth, whereas Earth is spelled Urth. So obviously different names for these places. But the red moon is called the red moon because it's red, but it also has perpetual storms that cover its surface. Clouds cover the sky nearly all the time, with breaks so infrequent people could go years without seeing the sun. The expected torrents of rainwater fall from the clouds, releasing salt crystals, burning cinders, blood, dollops of tar, and flesh-eating slime. Lightning leaps between the clouds, powerful bolts and forks that sometimes streak up from the ground or down towards it without warning. So yeah, it's an unpleasant place. It's constantly being battered by storms, and looks like some nasty stuff falls from those storm clouds. Rampant despotism, or despotism. Scarcity drove civilization's development. Early people hoarded what they could find, at least until someone stronger came along and took it from them. They learned to surround themselves with lickspittles and lackeys to keep what they had themselves taken. In time, these regions, these masters, or these few, became regents and or worshipped as god kings, masters of all they could survey. These subjects submit to their despot's rule, hoping their loyalty will earn them a share of the scarce food, water, and other necessities. In most settlements, the inhabitants depend on the despot who rules over them, owing their lives to a tyrant who exploits them and treats them as chattel. So, not only is it a terrible place weather-wise, it's also a terrible place civilization-wise. So there are a number of city-states that are on this moon, and they're each run by a pretty much a god king. Secret allegiances. With power concentrated in the hands of an autocratic few, people will combat the oppression they feel by holding to values, ideas, and beliefs of their own. Some worship gods, others abide by strict moral codes, and a few subscribe to their own interpretation of metaphysics. As despots expect total devotion from their subjects, people often keep their true beliefs and allegiances secret, even from their own family members. Okay, on barbarism's brink. Civilization found in the city-states, strongholds, and other settlements fight a losing battle against barbarism. Order is maintained through whatever legal structure the elite impose. Beyond the area under their control, there is no one to impose and enforce law and order. People do what they must to stay alive. No one bats an eye at theft, murder, or worse, engaging the world as if it were a Hobbesian jungle. Okay, so lots of lawlessness outside of the the dots of civilization. Excuse me. Accursed home of the Titans. Okay, so, well, let me just read it. I was going to summarize, but I think it'll be better if I read it. The old faith teaches how the gods triumphed over the Titans, those ancient ones who shaped the world from chaos. Having ended the Titans' dominions, the gods needed some place to imprison the vanquished. Allowing the Titans to dwell on Earth risked too much. What would stop them from rising once more after their wounds healed? Would their pride allow them to accept submission and live as lesser things? Rather than risk another war, the gods exiled the Titans to the flawed creation of Tartarus, binding each in some way to prevent them from ever troubling Earth again. So, this was interesting because in all of the lore that I read on Shadow the Demon Lord, and granted it's been a while, so I may have forgotten some, but I don't ever recall there being Titans in the lore. So either this is a recent addition or I'm missing something. So if I'm missing something, please let me know. But yeah, I think this is an add-on. I know there were Titans in the Earth of Shadow the Weird Wizard, but I don't recall there being Titans on the Earth of Shadow the Demon Lord. But I could be wrong. So anyway, the red moon is home to Titans that are shackled or imprisoned, or some of them are roaming free. So there you go. You got Titans walking around. So that's awesome. Dread gods. The gods of Earth have no place on Tartarus. They abandoned whatever hope of influencing this place when they made it the dumping ground for the Titans. Even though the Maiden of the Moon claims dominion over Tartarus, she has no presence here, no mortal following. Not even the new god, whose followers claim to reach across all reality, has a temple here. So all new gods are worshipped on Tartarus, or Earth. Okay. A land of lost spirits. Spirits infest the world. None of Earth's gods offer a place for souls to go after death, so spirits wander until they find some new body to inhabit. The wealthy prepare bodies in advance so their spirit can migrate to their next vessel when their mortal form gives out. Those without riches face a time of wandering or capture. The wanderers might travel years before they find a suitable body, or until they can steal one by possession or some other darker method. The captives become imprisoned inside soul gems and languish inside them for centuries before being allowed to live again. Okay, so you have a different life-death cycle on the red moon, as it just mentioned in that piece I read. There is no cycle of life. There is no birth and rebirth. There's no reincarnation. There's no place for spirits to go after they die. So you just die and then you become a disembodied spirit wandering until you find a body that you can inhabit. So that is a different take. Magical debris. Other things besides demons come into this world. I skipped some, sorry. Let's see, secrets of magic. So basically this paragraph says that magic exists here. It's an energy source that anyone with the right training and ability can wield. Okay, keep that thought in your head for a few minutes. I'll get back to that. The Shadow of the Demon Lord. So they're the barrier between the void and the moon of Earth, is very thin. So demons show up on Earth or on the moon all the time. Magical debris. Other things that are in the void also fall onto the red moon because of the weakening of the barrier. And such things can be otherworldly. They can be magical. They can be technological from other worlds that have been sucked into the void. So yeah, interesting stuff can be found. So is that 10? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, that's 10. So that's your 10 true things about this setting. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the setting then, and I'll just kind of talk as we go. So first of all, we have the rule for corruption. So corruption is still a thing here. Unlike it is in Shadow of the Weird Wizard, you still get corruption in Shadow of the Red Moon. However, since there's no hell for souls to go to purge of corruption, then souls just accumulate corruption. And if you're in a body and you accumulate corruption, then you accumulate corruption as the Demon Lord engine tables dictate, and you'll have to look at the Demon Lord engine to reference those tables. So of course that is a tie to the Demon Lord and rules engine. However, it doesn't say you have to do that here, and you could just use the rules for Shadow of the Demon Lord for corruption. The only thing is that corruption is never purged. So even if your character dies and wanders, it retains the corruption that it accumulated in its past lives. Okay, people of the middle sand or middle lands. Circumstances broaden humanity's definition. Okay, so I'm not going to read all this, but basically it says that humans come in many sizes, shapes, and form. There are no other ancestries, at least none in this book. It's basically humans, but humans can have different colored skin. They can have different features. They can have pointy ears. They can have tails. They can have, multiple limbs. They can have different variations. So they're not just your standard human stock that we're used to in other human-centric settings. Humans on the moon here can look different, but they're all considered humans. Okay, so we have a stat block here, a Tartarian Shadow. So Tartarian Shadow basically is somebody who died and has not yet claimed a body to re-inhabit. So a Tartarian Shadow is basically an undead creature or a spirit that's wandering the land, waiting to find a new body to inhabit. Okay, so let's see here. The masses, ordinary folk make up the base on which all society depends. The masses do the labor, bear the suffering, from having to go without, and the whims of their betters determining their fates. They include all laborers, the guild artisans, servants, entertainers, beggars, wretches, condemned to do the most dangerous and filthy work. Work consumes their lives, leaving them little time for personal pursuits or doing anything more than catching a few hours of sleep between shifts. So that is the majority of the people that live on the Red Moon. The echelons. Some escape the masses. A string of good luck, favor from one of their betters, or a despot's generosity can all explain how one clambers free from the misery of life among the least. The echelons, also called the knobs or the ristos, enjoy comfort and plenty. They have their own spaces, have little need to work, and enjoy the luxury craved by those who make up the masses. As pleasant as the echelons have it, however, they know they always stand on the brink of penury. One misstep and down they go, swallowed up in humanity's reeking ocean. All right, so you've got the grunts or the masses, then you have the echelons, which I guess is your middle tier, your middle class, and then you have the despots. The despots rule as absolute tyrants, living in opulence and splendor, far exceeding the most successful knob. Despots control the resources, make the laws, lift people up, and cast them down. They can be kind or cruel, possessing brilliant minds or broken ones shattered by paranoia and delusion. No matter how good they seem, despots hold their positions by exploiting everyone they rule. Like the worst parasites, they draw anything and everything of value from their underlings, giving back a mere fraction of what they take. And then they let no one threaten their position. Even the kindest, most avuncular despot, one who hands out sweets to children or issues edicts to ease workers' burdens, turns murderously vicious when confronted by an uprising. All pretense of kindliness is shed as rulers become demons in flesh, ordering mass executions, poisoning food and water, and burning out troublesome settlements over the most minor infractions. Okay, so in civilizations you have three tiers: the masses, the echelons, and the despots. Outside of the civilized areas, you have the outsiders. Not everyone finds a place in the communities. Some, by choice or by happenstance, find themselves thrust into the unknown wilderness, where they either find a way to survive or, if not, add their bones to those of all others who failed before them. So then you have further definitions of the outsiders. You have the unwilling, you have the exiles and pariahs, you have the plague-ridden, then you have the Titan swarm, which are those that basically worship the Titans. And then you have other beings join the people living in cities and towns, as well as those groups at large in the wild. We have demonists, and then we have spirit vessels. Then we have inhumans. So let's see, demonists. Demons slip into this world through cracks in reality and carry out the same mission here as they do everywhere. They seek the annihilation of all living things and to obliterate creation. The threat demons pose can make allies of the bitterest enemies. Even the despots come together to contain the destroyers. However, demons tend to live longer on the moon, the red moon, and so they tend to tone down their violent natures, and they can actually become beings that are able to carry out their plans of destruction with more subtlety, and in some cases can potentially even be reasoned with. Spirit vessels, small and portable gemstones, make ideal vessels for storing disembodied spirits. Other objects can hold spirits too, provided those objects bear the magical script needed to keep the spirit in place. These spirit vessels can take any form. Innocuous items such as cups, amulets, and knives are the most common, but more elaborate objects such as humanoid forms, statues, or clockwork machines can also hold spirits. Depending on the magic used to anchor these spirits, the housed soul might exert control over the vessel, animating it as if it were a natural body. You have inhumans. Earth belongs to many other creatures, some able to pass for human based on the loose definition folks use to define their kind. However, these inhumans stand apart by their monstrous character or unnatural nature. Examples include undead created by a soul's inability or unwillingness to leave the dead meat, as well as the mindless walking corpses often found in their company. Exiled fiends, aliens, bizarre creations of magic, and monsters with intellects as keen as or keener than any human infest the lands. There are visitors from Earth and from elsewhere that can come to the world. You also have Tartarian characters. This section talks about player characters. And there are two types described here: the pneuma, and the eidolon. Now the pneuma holds all the memories and knowledge you have gained so far. Like most, your pneuma inhabited one or more bodies. Each incarnation has given you the chance to pursue objectives, learn, act, and have all the experiences a person might have over the course of their life. Death causes these memories to fade somewhat, so you must spend some time relearning how to do those things you could do when you last lived. Your pneuma or pneuma provides you with the following traits, and it goes through whatever the traits are. This is basically your spirit form. And then there's some there's a past lives table. You roll 3d6 to determine how many past lives you've had, and then you roll on the cause of death table, past life identities. Yeah, there you go. And then you have language of the red moon. Most use speech to communicate. Language has roots in older, extinct languages as it borrows words and idioms. The dialects vary enough for confusion to arise between speakers in different regions. All right, so that is your spirit form, and then you have your eidolon. An eidolon serves as a vessel for the pneuma. Coming by an eidolon requires wealth, luck, or sheer determination. The elite prepare bodies far in advance. They grow new bodies in vats or assemble them from parts purchased from flesh vendors. Others must wait for a soulless newborn. About 2/3 of all children born lack souls. Gathering around expectant mothers comes at a risk, though. Soul takers lay in wait, snatching up souls and stuffing them into gems to enrich themselves. See, soul gems are used as currency in this game. Strong-willed individuals muscle out weak spirits from their eidolons, though people consider such acts bad form and punish those discovered to have stolen bodies with confinement in soul gems. All right, so you're either an eidolon or you're a spirit. So that's an interesting take. I don't know if it's expected that you would adventure as a spirit. I suppose you could. You do have actions that you can take, but you are a spirit. So in your spirit form, if you lack an eidolon, you lose all your traits and talents that you gained. Make the following changes to your rules. Your defense score equals your intelligence score plus 5, or intellect score times 5 plus 5. Your health score equals your will. Your strength score becomes 10. Your agility score becomes D3 plus 8. Your speed becomes 10. And you gain the Strider and Unfettered traits. You're immune to a bunch of stuff. Eternal Return, if you become incapacitated, you dissipate and cease to exist for 24 hours. At the end of this time, you reform in the space you left with no damage. And then Spectral Touch, agility with 1 boon. And it does a d6 damage. Okay, so that you can act, you can be a spirit and you can do stuff, but you can attack, but other than that, I don't think you can do pretty much anything else. Although you do have a strength score, so I don't know if you can actually interact with the environment being a spirit. I don't know, I may have missed that when I was reading through, but at any rate. All right, so your eidolon has eidolon traits. So you either have mechanical body parts, you're malleable, quick healer, uncommon resilience, face change, dark vision, blah, 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 all the way down to leaper. Or, yeah, you jump instead of move. Okay. Oh, there's some more, actually. Goes all the way down to magnificence, I guess. There's Tartarian names, your story so far. There's a table for that. Then we have the Middle Lands, and this is where I pretty much stopped reading because it basically just describes areas in the world. And I haven't really, I don't know. I really don't plan on running this campaign, at least not anytime soon. I have plenty of adventures planned for Shadow of the Demon Lord on Earth, URTH. I really don't need a second Shadow of the Demon Lord setting. So, yeah. Anyway, all right, so here's the map of the world. Obviously, it's just a small region, which means that it can be expanded upon. The map looks very similar to the maps on that we get for Shadow of the Demon Lord. So all these numbered places are described here, and again, I haven't read through these. I'm sure it's interesting. I'm sure there's plenty of cool places on here. Again, I just really don't plan on adventuring here. And so that's it. Um, you have an index, and then that's the end of the book. 17 pages, so it's not very long. Um, so this is why I'm a little bit confused about why this is considered a Demon Lord Engine Rules Compendium supplement, because it's missing pretty much everything you need to run a campaign in this campaign setting. You don't have any paths. The only ancestries you have are the Eidolon and the Pneuma, Nuema. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know why this is considered a Demon Lord Rules Engine compendium, being as how it's not complete. Now, my guess is that there's going to be more Red Moon supplements coming out that fill in the blanks. So, but the weird thing is, it should say something about this is not a complete game, and kind of give you an idea of what's coming. That's going to provide you the additional information that you want, but it doesn't. So I'm a little bit confused about this. It mentions that magic is a thing, and yet there's no rules for magic in here. And there's no rules for magic in the Demon Lord Rules Engine. So that's why I say, at least initially, until we get more supplements, this is pretty much a Demon Lord campaign world until it releases more rules that make it its own thing. If that's even happening, and I'm just guessing here, I have no idea if there's going to be anything more beyond the supplement for the Red Moon. I assume there is. Schwab doesn't really just release one thing and then leave it alone for the most part. So I expect that there's going to be some follow-up supplements to this, but yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit confused about this, but anyway. All right, so that's pretty much it. It is a pretty interesting campaign setting. It kind of reminds me of Dark Sun, D&D setting, somewhat. Instead of deserts, instead of a desert world, this is a storm world. And as you can see by the map, it has water. So there's bodies of water in addition to bodies of land. So it's not a desert world, but it is still lots of frontier, lots of wasteland, and so that's what makes me it's what's reminiscent of that Dark Sun setting. Also reminds me a little bit of the Purple Planet setting from Dungeon Crawl Classics. If any of you have played Dungeon Crawl Classics and know about the Purple Planet, it's also kind of a wasteland, but it also has settlements in it, and ruins spread throughout. So yeah, it's an interesting setting, but again, I don't know. I just don't plan on using it. Now, those of you who like Shadow of the Demon Lord but don't want to use the core setting for Shadow of the Demon Lord, you don't want to use the world of URTH, and you don't want to create your own. Well, this is a decent campaign setting. Now it's darker. it's more brutal than URTH, the Demon Lord setting. And mostly what I read is people wanting something less dark to use the Shadow of the Demon Lord rules in. So I really don't know who this supplement is going to appeal to. But maybe you have already destroyed your World of Earth and you're ready for a new campaign in your Shadow of the Demon Lord game, and the Red Moon would be a good place for that. So there you go. All right, so that's pretty much it. Don't really have much else to discuss here, and I guess we'll just wait and see what else comes out for Shadow of the Red Moon. I'm actually more interested in seeing I was a little bit disappointed with this supplement because I was kind of thinking that the Demon Lord Rules Compendium, Demon Lord Engine Rules Compendium, was going to be used for other genres. So I was kind of thinking there would be a science fiction genre, there might be a horror genre. Um, you know, he can do anything with this engine, with this rules engine. So I was thinking that the first thing he might release is something totally different than what he has done up to this point. But so far, Shadow of the Red Moon is basically just more Shadow of the Demon Lord in a different place. So anyway, that's my assessment. What are your thoughts? If you think differently, feel free to post them in the comment section. But for now, that's all I got. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Thanks for watching. Hail the Demon Lord and all that. And all right, we'll catch you next time. How do you turn this damn thing off?